Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. I am so excited to introduce you to my new friend, Kristin Haluch. Kristin is so many cool things. She's a mama bear. She is very determined to build women into leaders. She loves psychological safety. She's also an author. She's a human-centered leadership expert who loves to read and spent a lot of time in the library with her mom growing up. She also is an avid paddleboarder and lives in Florida, so she gets to do that with some regularity. And she is a mom to sweet Parker, who's 4 years old, but she was called Mama Bear long before she had Parker. And today she's our guest on Productive Joy. Welcome, Kristin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. And people need a reason to listen. So, what would you say to them in like 30 seconds or less that would get them super excited about this episode?
I'm going to change, hopefully, your mindset a little bit on what an amazing leader is. And we'll talk about shifting our perspective and focusing on putting people before profits. And if you focus on people first, the profits will come.
I believe that with my whole being, but why do you think others don't? Because it's been my experience, Kristin, that you have to convince people to take care of people, and I don't understand that. Why do you think that leaders tend to steer away from this concept?
I think there's a challenge culturally, especially in corporate work environments, that you do have a lot of stakeholders to please. You've got quarterly board meetings, P&Ls that you have to track. You need to focus on the numbers. But I think we oftentimes forget that the people drive the numbers.
Right.
And so, especially, and we've had a lot of layoffs and hard times recently. And I think that in those moments, we're looking at spreadsheets more than we're looking at the people behind the spreadsheets. And if we can shift our perspective to focusing on creating a psychologically safe work environment that drives productivity, the data shows that the numbers will come, the profits will come.
Yeah. And it's so true. And again, I am totally in your camp. But I have also run into a lot of leaders who either don't get it or aren't willing to take the risk. And I'm putting risk in air quotes for those of you that can't see, because it's not a risk. It's not a risk at all. It's actually the right way to do things. But for whatever reason, leaders see it as risky to put profits to the side to focus on the humans. Who taught you that? How did you figure out that the humans first or human-centered leadership is the way to go?
I think I learned it the hard way. We all have a lot of lessons in terms of who it's a lot easier for people to answer who was the worst boss that you ever had versus who was the best boss that you ever had. So I think I learned it over time. My book starts talking about how I was deemed the mama bear leader, which is kind of what I consider human-centered leadership. And it was after my company was acquired and I was walking into the office having to lay off everyone, including myself,
Sure.
through an acquisition. And in that moment, focusing on helping those people get to their next step in life and get to their next job rather than going into self-preservation mode, which I really wanted to do in that moment. And, those relations that happened over 10 years ago now, and those relationships have helped me get jobs, clients, customers. So I felt like just doing the right thing was, it shows itself in terms of long-term benefit. It might feel hard in the moment, but it will drive those outcomes in the long run.
Mhm. Okay, so Ed Milet says that we are best equipped to help the person we used to be. And that's
Hmm.
what I heard in that statement
Yes.
is that you were sitting in it too, right? Like you were in that
Oh, yeah.
space of, holy crud, what am I going to do? Like, I don't have
Ab-
a job. But you took care of others first, which ultimately has taken care of you for years to come. And that is a beautiful lesson that I think all of us need to hear, right? We need to recognize that doing the right thing is always the right thing. And when you take care of the humans will take care of you. Pretty beautiful. And I'm glad that you learned it. I hate that you had to learn it through layoffs and through that space. How do you see this AI push and this shift affecting that human centered leadership need?
It's interesting. I had a conversation with my husband about this just yesterday. I was initially really resistant to AI. I felt like there was a lot of fear mongering happening with it of like, if you don't learn it today, you're going to be useless and left behind. Um, what I think of shift my perspective, and I think that AI will actually empower us to get more one-on-one human connection time because all the minutia that we get stuck in of putting formulas in spreadsheets or fixing things or, uh, moving boxes on a PowerPoint to make a deck look good. If all that can be fixed with AI, we should, in theory, actually have more time as leaders to spend with our people, having conversations, getting to know them better, helping coach them and grow them. It might, it should also help leaders improve their skills and become even stronger in terms of how do I have a really hard conversation or all the challenges that come up. So my hope is that it actually opens up and empowers us to have more time with our people doing the things that matter versus it could go the other way where we're all just inside our little AI, chatbots all day not talking to each other. And I'm hopeful that it goes the first way.
Well, and I agree completely. I'm going to steal a page out of my friend Patrick Briggs' book. He says that hope is not a strategy, right?
Yes.
But you have written a book that does have some strategy in how to protect the humans. So it just
Yes.
dropped at the beginning of this month, right? And
Yes.
it is
Yes.
officially available. So why don't you tell us, first start with the title, because that's super important
Sure.
and where people can get it, but then give us kind of that 30,000-foot view of the strategies that people would be able to grab if they were to pick up this book.
Yeah, great. So the book is called The Mama Bear Leader: How Human-Centered Leadership Can Reimagine the Way We Work.
Hmm.
And I wrote it off of good, bad experiences in my own leadership journey. And really, what I kept coming back to were these 7 foundational principles of human centered leadership, which is be self aware, know your people, communicate clearly, teach to hunt and gather, anticipate and adapt, give and receive tough love, and make lifelong connections.
Mm.
And so within each of the chapters, we'll tackle one of those 7 foundational principles. And it won't just be a book on theory, it's a book on practical tips. So there's a lot of tips in terms of on the communicate chapter, there's actual questions and ways that you can ask and work with your team on getting to know them better. And so really practical tips and tricks for how to connect more deeply and the science behind how you create psychological safety through trust. One of my biggest beliefs is that trust equals consistency over time. And so you really need to spend a lot of time consistently doing those actions to build trust. And then once you have trust as the foundation to the house of leadership, then you can start to have harder conversations or be a little bit more direct or share more authentically with your team because it's rooted in trust, but you've got to start there. And so we start there and sort of build upon that with each principle building upon the last.
I recently was given, it was a chart of the 9 different leadership styles, and it had people
Mhm.
tied to them, right? And Oprah leads this way, and Nelson Mandela leads this way. And it was amazing to me to look at it and realize immediately where I gravitated, right? That transformational leader, I'm more of a coach, I'm somebody who's looking for ways to make my people better, and how far I go from the autocratic, this is the way you must do it kind of personality. And both are actually needed and necessary, but I really appreciated what you just said, which was if trust is not the foundation of this house of leadership, then you cannot give directives
No.
because people won't listen to them. And I think that's the missing link that you often see in leaders.
Mhm.
It's not wrong to give a directive. What's wrong is to not trust your people to take the directive and do something with it. And that comes with trust. So thank
Yeah.
you for giving us this wonderful foundation. Now, where would we get this book? Where's the best
You
one?
can get it on Amazon. So yeah, just search the Mama Bear Leader and hopefully it'll be right up there on the bestsellers.
Absolutely. That's the goal. That's the goal. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we put this book in our hands, we are going to have those 7 things, those very clear, practical steps. And I love that it's practical. I think what I love about practical things is it gives me productive joy, right? I'm able to follow that system and I can understand what I'm supposed to do. And I've been given examples of what I'm supposed to do. But everybody gets their own definition of productive joy. And I would love to hear yours, Kristin. If you had to describe productive joy, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I love this question. We met at a talk at a conference, and I've been thinking about it ever since, and I love the concept. For me, I think it's when I'm in a flow state, like fully engulfed in whatever I'm doing to where I lose track of time. And it's different depending on the day or the mood I'm in. But if I'm like creating content or sometimes a process for my team or coaching, when I like lose track of time and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's already 1 o'clock. I was really in it. Like that to me is like productive joy.
I love that. And so I get a different definition every time, but there are themes and flow is one of those themes, because it is that state where you don't feel like you're working, but you are producing something. And I think that's beautiful. So the follow-up question is always, how do you help people create it?
I think for me, when I work with my clients or leaders or my team, it's trying to always center back to like the why. Like, what are you even doing this for?
Yeah.
Like some people want to be leaders because their companies have created a structure in a way that the only way they can make the money that they want to make is they have to be in leadership. They don't actually want to be leaders. They just want to do their job and make good money.
Yeah.
And so trying to center back to the why, like, why do you want to make the money? Why do you want to hit the goal? Why do you want to do the thing? And then working from that place of focusing on the why, because not all the work is fun. Sometimes spreadsheets are boring and you don't want to do them, but you have to do them.
Yeah.
So the why behind it, I think, really helps you anchor in those moments of challenge or not fun stuff. But the not fun stuff that's leading you to the goal or the reason, or, I'm envisioning going down the water slide with my son at, the Disney park, like that is the end goal of doing the not fun stuff.
Oh, and I think that gives great perspective because we often say things like, I want to be successful. Okay. What have you defined success?
Yeah.
Success can mean a lot of things. Success can mean sliding down the slide with your son on a Tuesday because you have built your life as such that you can take that break, right? But success for somebody else might be the multi-million-dollar house with 7 cars and and both are right. It's recognizing the definition and the target that you're attempting to hit. And I love that you are guiding people in that space. And it sounds like you do it in all of the humans that you know. And that doesn't surprise me at all, Kristin, having met you in person and recognizing that you have this way about you that draws people in, right? That takes care of you. Probably why you were deemed the mama bear. It wasn't just that you took care of people in that one instance. It's that by nature you look around and you go, how can I care for the humans? And there's power in that. So here's my question for you that will hopefully bring our whole audience back to you. And that's you have 7 principles. I am sure that they are all equally important and wonderful. But if you had to pick one to kind of walk us through, why don't you pick one of those 7 and kind of give us a peek behind the curtain, if you will, to get people excited about what they could learn from you?
Yeah, the first that comes to mind for me is know your people. And so in the book, I talk about there's actually a lot of parallels between actual mama bear in the wild and the stories that I tell on the leadership side. And real mama bears in the wild know their cubs very well. They have really strong bonds with them. They can recognize them by scent, vocalizations, behaviors. And if you think about that as a leader, it's like you can recognize people tonally, their body language, how they're acting in meetings. And so for me, I always say, like, you have to know more about your employee than their favorite coffee order. Like, that's a great starting place. Like, we all love, a Starbucks run, but you need to know them more deeply. And so you need to know things like, What was their leadership past? How is that going to impact how they're going to perceive you as a leader? What are their perceived strengths? What are their perceived weaknesses? How do they like to receive feedback? I've worked with teams that love really public feedback. They want the showiness when they do really well, or they make a mistake. They want to know right then and there. Some people want it really private. They would be mortified if you sent an accolade across an entire team channel in your Slack or your team. So knowing, how they like to get feedback, how they like to get praise, what's their learning style? So do they learn by kinesthetically reading, audio, like auditorily? I've worked with folks in the past that are dyslexic, and their training manual was just, hey, read this. It's not working for them.
Yeah.
It's a really big struggle. So to me, I have a course that some of my clients go through, and the course includes basically a spreadsheet template of filling this out and interviewing, how to interview and get to know your people. And you're not going to learn it all in one day. But you should constantly be looking for signals and information, like these micro lessons about your team, so that you know them on a deep level. And then you have to curate your leadership style to them. So I think a lot of leaders go wrong. We're like, this is how I lead, and they have to accommodate me. And I think the best and strongest leaders are able to be nimble and adapt to the people that they're leading and shift leadership styles slightly based on the individual that they're working with.
Couldn't agree more. And it sounds like a lot of work, right? Like
It is. Oh, absolutely.
when you think about all that we are asked to do in a, work setting, that is extra.
Mhm.
And like you said before, it's people over profits because the people drive the profits, right? And I don't think any of us can afford to go to work and not make money, right? Like
Mhm.
meaning we're there to be profitable, but we frequently miss the opportunity to be profitable because of the extra that's actually not extra, right? Like,
Yeah.
so everything that you're saying is the bare minimum, but we see it as, oh, well, I don't want to put my energy into that because I have to put my energy into this. I believe that is also because the leaders don't have the skills that they need to get to know their people. And so I'm so excited for our listeners that they can go get this book because it does have some of those practical things about, here's a way to find out what the learning style is for your folks or how they would like to receive praise. I definitely have on my team people who love nothing more than to publicly be praised, and others who want to crawl under a rock. They're like,
Yeah.
do not say something publicly, or please do
Yeah.
not tell them that I'm good at this. I don't want them to know. So
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you, Kristin. I'm proud of you
Thank you.
for taking the time to put it into a book, for taking what you knew was your natural, unique genius and put it in a space where others could run with it. I guarantee you, every leader needs this, but every leader is not going to pick it up either, right? Because some people are sure that they have it under control. We could tell them differently. They probably wouldn't listen. But when I think about your audience, for me, it's a lot like my audience for Productive Joy. These are people who want to do it differently because they know that what they're doing isn't creating productive joy, right? Isn't getting them the results that they want. And they're willing to learn as they go. A couple weeks ago, I had a guy on that had been a Fortune 100, CEO, big deal, had done all these things, but he realized he was doing it in a me fashion and not in a we fashion. And so he kind of had a wake up call and he decided to fully pivot and change how he did things. I think that's the main person that you want to have read this book, is the person that's willing to say, I don't do it this way yet, but I'm willing and I need some guidance. And I'm just thrilled to death that you decided to be the guide for those folks. That's pretty wonderful.
I appreciate that. Yeah. My husband and I talk a lot about choosing your hard.
Yeah.
And so you can choose, leadership can be hard in one of two ways. You can choose to do it, the way that you're doing it now, and people aren't listening to you, and teams aren't collaborating, and everyone's at each other's throats. Or you can choose to stay up an extra hour a day or focus on growth goals and adapting and doing things different and making mistakes and kind of working towards a new norm. Both are hard, but it's what is the outcome of choosing to stay stuck in the moment that, in the way that you're doing it now versus choosing to find a new path? Eventually, that new path gets a lot easier than staying stuck in the way that you're doing it.
Yep.
So, yeah, we choose our heart every day.
Every day. And I think when you choose it by design instead of by default, you're in really good shape, right? I think that a lot of our decisions are made by default. This is the way we've always done it. I don't know how to do it any other way. And it is hard, but you don't realize that you're choosing that hard every single time. I think that there is so much power in all the things that you're doing, Kristin, and I'm so proud of you for it. And
Thank you.
know that by nature, people will only listen for a short amount of time before they're like, yeah, okay, we're ready. So I would love to ask you some rapid fire questions before we go.
Sure.
Okay, these are my favorite because I learn a heck of a lot. And the first question is, what is your definition of fun?
Yeah, my definition of fun is when I'm not thinking about anything else in the moment. So, like when I'm laying on the ground playing, my son calls them beeps, like cars with my son, and we're just laughing and we're having a good time. I'm not thinking about what I need to do next. That to me is fun when my mind is just clear and I'm like actually in the present moment versus thinking about what just happened or what I need to do next.
That is powerful. I'm not really great at that and want to do that. And so I think that that definition of fun holds not just truth, but power.
Yeah.
But how do you know that you're showing up as your authentic self?
For me, I think it's when I'm not worried about how I'm going to be perceived in the moment because I have like full conviction over what I'm saying or doing.
Mm. There's probably a whole podcast in that, my friend. Not worried about how you're perceived. Yeah. Well done for figuring that out. And I'm glad that you're able to do that on the regular. That's awesome.
It's really hard and it takes a lot of work. But there are moments where you're like, yeah, I'm doing it right.
Obviously, here I am. I am mom bossing right this minute.
Yep.
Okay. How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
I frame a lot of my self-talk around what would future Kristin want. So what would future Kristin do? Like what would future Kristin have done today to get the thing done or the action done to get herself to where she is now? And so I absolutely hate working out. But future Kristin is fit and healthy and can keep up with her kid in her 40s. So today's Kristin has to go to the gym. So I just constantly am thinking about like, what did future Kristin do today to get where she is then?
Oh, you know what? Well said. There are lots of things that we would rather be doing, right? But the reality is that we need to sleep well. We need to exercise. We need to eat well so that we can take care of the next. You have been full of wisdom, my friend. And that is going to make this last question a tough one because you talked about the importance of a flow state and being in productive joy. You gave people very clear 7 steps to making sure that you are being a mama bear leader and that you are being thoughtful about taking care of the humans first. You talked through the know your humans, which I think is super important. And you said trust equals consistency over time and that the foundation of leadership is trust. And by nature, people will only latch on to one major thing before or during a 30-minute episode. So what's the one thing you really want to leave people with today, Kristin?
I want to leave you with focusing on your people first, and that can start with you. So invest in yourself, invest in learning, invest in growing. Be okay with making mistakes. Be okay with it feeling icky at first. But if you invest in yourself, you'll be able to put your people first and you'll be wildly successful in your leadership.
I love that. That is perfect. You were perfect. And I'm so grateful that you chose to spend your time with our Productive Joy audience. You were great.
you. Thank you so much. It's been an awesome time connecting. I really appreciate it.
Yay. Okay, listeners, you got some gold today, and it only is valuable if you use it. So I need you to do something with this information. Maybe it's that you're going to go grab her book. It is available on Amazon right now, The Mama Bear Leader. Go grab it, or reach out to Kristen. And actually, you didn't tell us what's the best way to get in touch with you.
You can email me at hello@mamabearleadershipco.com. And that's also my website, mamabearleadershipco.com. And it's got all the information on how we can connect.
Love it. Okay, so reach out to Kristen, or maybe it's that you're going to try one of these 7 things
Yeah.
and you're going to latch onto it. I don't know what nugget you're going to take with you, but I do know that the only way that things change is if you change them. So I need you to do something differently, because today and every day, my challenge for you is to figure out a way to turn fun into action.